So this is just a fun little map I made. Uh, I like doing like interior design and stuff, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I just kind of made what looks cool, so we'll just run through it. Oh, and don't mind these floating guns. So I ripped some textures off of Google, and then I basically made a brush and then put a gun right up to it, like flat. That's what those guns were for, a handgun and a rifle for reference. And then I scaled the texture down to like fit the length of a handgun and a rifle to make sure I got it like as close as possible. And so yeah, it's pretty like life size. It almost like you almost can't tell it's flat, just like a flat texture. Um, so it worked out pretty good. Let me see. There it goes. So yeah, it's metal. Metal texture. For some reason, you can't shoot through this glass. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. At first, I was kind of just done. Whoa. I just noticed that the texture's off. It's weird. It's supposed to be like pretty center. It's supposed to be pretty center, but it's off. I'll have to fix that. Um, First I was gonna just make those flat and locked and just flat with the wall and stuff. But then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna make them actually functional rooms. So I did. The texture's off a little bit as well. I'll have to go back and straighten that out. So yeah, we got some safes here. So like it's a safe within a safe. Um, I don't know what I'm gonna put in here yet. And I could have done it to where like the keypad opens the door, but I figure realistically you gotta actually open the door with the handle and stuff, so the keypad's just like if you wanted to lock and unlock it. So this one actually has the start of something in there, so like your surveillance room or whatever. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Let's get an out view here. There's an upstairs. It's kind of just like weird geometry going on here. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to what is up here. Uh, it really doesn't make sense. Looks like kind of garbage. So I might delete that. But yeah, so here's like the whole out view of it. My favorite part's the safe room. Yeah, turned out rather good. I don't know why I did it. Just made something just to make it. Funny backstory. So this texture you'll recognize, but it's actually like I went into the game files and ripped it, and it's like ever so slightly darker than the original, which I didn't plan. Um, so these textures, like the posters, you'd think that they're just decals, but they're not. They're actually like there's like a little line. I don't know why that happens. They're actually overlaid on the texture I ripped. If that makes sense. So they're not decal posters. They're actually like the wall and the posters the same on the same texture scale of a 128 by 128 pixels, which is a standard wall, a standard or it's a 5 by 12 by 5 by 12 pixels on a 128 and 128 sized wall. And I just overlaid it on the pre-existing texture that I had. For some reason, I don't know what I did, but it made the shade of red darker than the actual original texture I was planning to use to blend it in where the posters aren't, like that wall. So you could tell it would be like a line, and you could tell like one was a lot brighter than these ones. So I was freaking out, and I was like, "Oh, I did all this for nothing," and I just went back and rendered a plain wall version, and it freaking matched the color, thankfully. So I was like, "Okay, cool, it works." The reason why I do it this way and not make decals is because I can't figure out why my decals aren't working. I'm sure people have had this problem and fixed it, and I'm pretty sure I've actually made other decals before, but I can't figure out why my decals aren't working. Like for the button here, I was gonna just make it a decal and put it on the wall, but I could not figure out why the transparency was turning out black and white and stuff like that. And so I just painstakingly made this just its own big texture. This is a 512 by 512 texture that I scaled down, so it like is really high def, which works because I tried to make a 64 by 64 decal and it looked like shit. I don't know if it's because I'm ripping it off of Google. It's probably because I'm ripping off of Google and then scaling down the image, and it just pixelates the hell out of it. I think if I made it by from scratch, which I'm not gonna freaking do, nor do I know how to, you probably wouldn't have that problem. But so that's why I do that. Why I did these the way I did is because I couldn't find like why the decals wouldn't work. Because if I could, I'd make each individual poster its own decal, and then you could place it and tilt it however you wanted. So, but I can't figure out why. So I did it this way. This wall's just the exact original red wall texture, but I just made it gray. I just took away all the saturation off of it in Photoshop or GIMP. I'm poor, so I use GIMP. Um, And then just I isolated the trim on it, and then had a transparent texture in the middle, and I just had the trim so I could put anything I wanted into the middle, and then have it the trim still match up. So I did that because I'm a huge fan of Top Gun. Uh, what else? This is actually like I did it kind of stupid. I should have made the safe its own texture, but I did a 512 by 512, and it actually is that safe texture that I had to actually modify. It's sitting right in the middle of like the 512 by 512 texture. So then I had to like painstakingly cut it out, which was stupid, instead of just like doing it the way I should have done it. I flirted with the idea of making these self-illuminate, so it gives off like it brightens it up and gives off its own. It doesn't give off light, but it just makes it so where the textures self-illuminate. It doesn't. It's not like if it was in a dark room, it would be bright. Kind of like how skyboxes work. I did that because you'd think like inset lights in here or whatever would like make it bright and stuff, but it just like absolutely whitewashes the texture like crazy. So I stopped that because I did it for that one and it looked terrible. And then I just added like little dim lights kind of close to it, and then also the photos that whoever took these, they had lights on them already. You could tell like that's kind of brighter. So it really just worked out as like far as the light shining in the photo itself, kind of the illusion that there's light already shining on it, if that makes sense. What else? This is just a animated texture of a YouTube video I made a while ago of me just playing squad, and I made an animated texture. It sucks because with animated textures, unless they're like pictures, like let's say I had 3 pictures and then I wanted it to animate and play one after the other, those would be self-illuminating. If because like a TV screen, I wanted this to be self-illuminating, like bright, like a real dim TV. But anyways, it doesn't work for like videos. For like, I don't know if it's like the multiple frames, because this is a lot of frames. Like this is individual pictures playing fast. I think 30 frames per second, if not faster. I think there's a limit though. I think it's like 30 frames per second. Um, so if for some reason it either can't self-illuminate frames, or something that has to do with you actually using a video to I don't know. Point is you can't self-illuminate a video that you turned into a GIF essentially. I wish I had the other texture somewhere in here that I could show the other TVs that I have that has just 3 or 4 or 5 pictures playing that they self-illuminate, and it looks good. So anyways, to kind of mitigate that, I put like a small light right in front of the TV to kind of illuminate the picture, because light actually bounces off that, and to give it the illusion that it's a TV more than just a dim normal texture. It's like any other wall basically. Like you could see, my light actually shines off of it. This is just a TV texture that I had ripped off of Google, and then I just cut it out close to the border and then put an animated texture in it, and then it looks like a flat screen TV. I did that because one, I wanted to animate a texture, and two, I wanted a flat screen TV, something that wasn't from like the freaking 90s in this stupid game. That works for if you don't think about it too hard, you know. It just works. The simplicity works good enough, I guess. Um, yeah, it worked out pretty good. Like this area, I ported from another map I made. I just liked how this hallway looked and was too lazy to replicate it any other way, so I just ported it over. I just copied and pasted it over here. Kind of different scheme, as you can tell from like the rest of the house, but fuck it. These are custom textures. A lot of these, well, not a lot. Some of these are custom textures from Real World textures pack. I think made by Top Waffle Hat, like this tile, and then I think that ceiling. That might be, or that might be a Splinter Cell texture I ripped. I don't remember. Can't remember.